you must have met hundreds and thousands of leaders, but today it's a unique day. Today, you are going to meet a dual leader, a people leader who is highly regarded by his organization's shareholders, revered by his top management, leadership team, and adored by his employees and the people in the organization. At Bostonica, we believe in unleashing your potentials. Today, we're going to enjoy a hot cup of coffee with this unique personality from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And of course, he's poised to become the next big chief human resource officer or a chief people officer in due course of time. And we believe that he's going to become one of the finest CHRO of this industry. And the Middle East is going to have a huge HR leader in the form of Hazza AlShammari. Please welcome today, for the talk show today, Coffee with HR star, our guest, Hazza AlShammari. Hazza AlShammari is a Chartered MCIPD, and shortly he's going to become a CPHR from Australian Human Resource Institute. And he is the HR Director of Flow Consortium, one of a very complex organization which is bringing revolution in the rail and a metro communication and transportation in Saudi Arabia. So please welcome Hazza AlShammari, and now let's hear from Hazza. Give us some glimpse about your career, that how you did this beautiful things. How did you manage this, your career? How did you get this Chartered MCIPD, and how your journey has been so far?
Sandeep, thank you very much for that introduction. It's very rare that someone gets me to blush, but I believe you managed to do so. So congratulations, you're one of the few. But thank you very much for this invitation. It's a pleasure being on here. It's a pleasure to be having coffee and sitting down virtually with you. I've been a fan of Bostonica for a very long time, and now to sit here and talk and share a nice conversation with everybody that is watching is a pleasure. So thank you very much.
So now, since we have a short, brief introduction from Hazza, let's welcome him officially. Welcome back. So Hazza, now we have got first, we don't say questions, but we say, your comments, and, you tell us about it, that what has been your recipe of your successful career so far?
Well, that's a very interesting question, Sandeep. I mean, when you put it that way, I'm a big fan of recipes, right? So when you put it that way, I'm going to answer it a little bit different from the usual answer that I always give. I believe that in any career, there are three major points that need to be mixed together in order for you to be able to grow, in order for you to be able to shine in your organization, but also in order for you to really give output, to really give something that people would take to heart, would listen to, would follow. Number one is the most important ingredient, which is integrity. Integrity is the top priority of anyone's career. It is the top ingredient in any professional mixture, especially in the human resources field, because our field, as you know, and as a lot of our viewers know, it touches a lot of lives. That's one, because you deal with employees on a day-to-day basis. It also touches and views a lot of confidential information, and not only from the company that you work for or the organization that you are a part of, but also from the employees themselves, because your business is people. So when people come to you and talk to you about what they're facing, problems and issues and difficulties, or even their joys that they are having in the workplace, it is very intimate. So integrity is a very huge part that any HR professional needs to have within their career, on their day-to-day operations, day-to-day lives. Number two is vision. Always must have vision. Always look forward. There is a question that is asked a lot in interviews, where you say, where you are asked, or even if you are the interviewer, you ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? A lot of people take that question for granted, yeah? And they say, okay, what is this? What is this question? A lot of people have generic answers. Oh, I see myself here and there, but nobody really thinks why this question comes, because the person sitting in front of you wants to see if you have vision, if you have a plan for the job that you are being interviewed in, if you have a plan for yourself, if you plan to grow in the organization, then you are going to do well. Then you are going to put input out. Then you are going to do whatever it takes to make what you're doing successful. So vision is a very, very strong ingredient. Number three, curiosity, right? I do not believe in the saying curiosity killed the cat. I do not believe it, not in our field, because you need curiosity in order for you to learn, in order for you to understand the business that you are a part of, in order for you to serve it better. Let's not forget, for us HR professionals, we do have clients, and the clients that we serve is the company that we work for, as well as the employees. They are all clients. And in order for you to understand your client, you need to understand their environment, you need to understand their business. And for you to have a bit of curiosity will give you that edge, which allows you to understand and therefore serve them well. So integrity, vision, and curiosity. Three ingredients that I like very, very much.
Excellent. Now, since we know we say coffee with the HR star, so since coffee, we enjoy coffee being brewed just now, and we enjoy the freshness in the coffee, and you bring a lot of freshness in your career, and we have seen it, and I know from the feedback, and I've heard a lot about people in Saudi Arabia that you bring a lot of freshness in your career, freshness in your job, freshness in your responsibility in a different from the different sides, from the people, from the management, from the from your shareholders. Tell us about how you keep your profile so fresh.
Sandeep, it is three simple letters: FUN, fun. People forget about making their jobs fun. It is basically enjoying what you do. And a lot of people get lost in that. A lot of people forget about making what they do on a day-to-day basis enjoyable. Not only for them, for you, it's very, very important. You need to make your job enjoyable for you, but you also need to make it enjoyable for the people that work for you and for the people that work with you. Because the more fun that you have doing your job, the more creativity you will output. The more buy-in you will have to your ideas. The more passion you will generate for what you do on a day-to-day basis. But on top of that, more support. Whether they are the people that are working with you that you see on a day-to-day basis, whether they are your clients, whether they are your employees, your subordinates, the people that work for you. When you make what you do enjoyable, it is endless. It is limitless what you can achieve. When you forget about the fun that you could have doing what you do, and you start taking it with more seriousness than you need to, this is when you start to go down. This is when getting out of bed to go to your job 5 days a week, or sometimes 6 days a week, or sometimes 7 days a week, becomes more and more difficult, especially in the winter time. But when you are going to visit some friends that you have a very good time with, don't you get excited? You get up earlier, you change your clothes, you look nice, you look fresh, and then you head out to your friends. What if that is the case with your job? What if you find the keys to make your job enjoyable, discover it, and then implement it, and then start doing it on a day-to-day basis? There is a saying that I've heard recently. I've heard it way back, but I've heard recently from a friend. He's saying, go to your job as if you're going on a romantic date, right? Look good, look fresh, get excited, and then hit the road and go do what you need to do. So finding the keys to making what you do enjoyable is something that will make every day fresh for you.
Hazza, now I have seen and I've got a lot of comments from and a lot of feedback from a lot of HR leaders that you're a phenomenal HR leader. You are grounded, you have pulse on the business, you've got a pulse on the people, and you have created your career path in a very structured and in the form of like a visionary, which you said like. Now, recently you have taken a Chartered MCIPD, and congratulations for that, for being awarded Chartered MCIPD and CPHR now. My question is, so far, you are going perfectly, your career was awesome, you're heading towards, and you got HR directorship, and still you have gone for a chartered membership, professional accreditation. You have not gone for SHRM, you have not gone for HRCI, you have not gone for ATD. So tell us something about, what was, is there some reason behind it, or it was purposely you crafted that, or did you go for in a planned manner?
Well, before I answer that question, let me ask you something. Is there a difference between boys and men?
Yeah, of course it is.
There you go. So to me, Chartered MCIPD or Chartered CIPD in general is something that acknowledges your experience, right? Not a lot of certifications do that. I have respect for all certifications. Certifications are admirable. You should follow, you should obtain. But for me personally, it wasn't the right time, or the time for me has passed to go for those educated certifications, educated HR certifications. I wanted something that acknowledges my experience. And Chartered CIPD, what it does, it gives you that edge in your career. Number one, it gives you acknowledgement for what you have done for all of these years. So when you get certified, when you become chartered, it is an official acknowledgement for your experience. And then it gives you that edge, that zing. It turns you from a boy in the HR field to a real man in the HR field. So that is why I started with that question. That is why I went with the Chartered MCIPD.
I like your, the statement of, the difference between boy and a man. And I think so because of this reason that a lot of people, we got a due respect for, certifications, all major certification all across the globe. But the reason of going for you is looks, very reasonable and logical. So next question. You went for chartered membership. That means you have gone through the process of experience assessment, if I understand it correctly. Why experience assessment? Why to go for a chartered membership professional certification? Why not the CIPD levels? People, they go for the CIPD level 3, level 5, level 7. So why not to go for these levels, and why to go directly for the Chartered MCIPD?
Sandeep, when you reach a certain level in your career, in your job, that you really start doing your best to organize your schedule, right? Between your job, your family, your friends, the responsibilities that you have. The levels of CIPD, they're great, but sometimes because of the load that you have, especially by your career, you are unable to attend these classes and attend these lectures and do all of these tests and all of that. I'm not telling anybody that you shouldn't do it. If you do have the time to do it, then go ahead, please, by all means, do it. And then when you reach level 7, go for the chartered after that. But if you do not have the time, if you are really split between a million things that you do during your week, chartered CIPD is the way for you to go, because they will assess your experience, what you have been through. I've worked in HR now. I will go into my 16th year, and basically that is what they are looking for. That is what chartered member is looking for to see, or chartered fellow even, to see if you have the right experience to become a member of CIPD. So you don't really need to schedule classes. You don't really need to attend at certain times. You do it based on your own schedule. You submit. Yes, there are deadlines, but to do that, you have a lot of time to write and to review and to read and to submit. Whenever you have an hour or a half an hour now is not possible, half an hour free in your office, do it. You're at home, your family is busy doing something else, you can do it. You are not linked by timelines, only the deadlines that you have to submit. So if you are very, very busy, go for the chartered CIPD. It will give you the chance to obtain what you need to obtain.
And I agree with you completely. Now, Hazza, Chartered MCIPD, and in today's time, nobody has got this much time, and if whether senior people like you, people who have got experience more than 10 years, to go and attend the classes for 1 year, 1.5 year, and to submit assignments, read the books, and then go for examination, and then if you are lucky, if you clear it, you get a diploma, or if you don't, you just get an attendance certificate. So it doesn't make sense. I think so. That's very logical what you have done to get this chartered membership. Great professional accreditation. Next question. Tell us, Hazza, how was your experience in the experience assessment? Was it just like a normal experience assessment? You went, somebody assessed you. Was there some learning involved? Did you get some report? Did you get some insight? Tell us about it. How was your experience?
Well, let me start with the end, right? The last assessment was a 4-hour call that
Wow.
basically keep talking and talking and talking and talking. Imagine giving a presentation at work for half an hour or an hour. When you went, your mouth is dry, and you've exhausted a lot of power. So imagine presenting yourself and trying to convince a world-renowned expert that your experience in HR is worthy of becoming a chartered member or a chartered fellow of CIPD, and speaking about that for 4 hours. That's the end. Now, going through the process, I will not say that the process is easy at all. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of learning to do. And I have to say that you need guidance in order to make it even easier for you. I was lucky enough, to work with you guys, Bustanica, on helping me and guiding me to get the chartered member CIPD. So that guidance made it easier. Look at this, look at that, understand this, understand that. But the experience overall is that there's a lot of learning, there's a lot of writing, and if you can get guidance from people such as yourself, Sandeep, and the good members and experienced members of Bostonica, it will make it even easier. But you need to be mentally prepared for it. You need to work for it. You need to learn, write, and then be ready for that 4-hour assessment call. Pleasant experience, tough, but very educational, very nurturing. That's what I can say about it.
Yes, and we know that the journey of experience assessment is extremely tough. That's why we recommend, HR professionals who want to go for this certification to go for some certifications like this. One of them is the Certified HR Strategy and Planning Analytics. And we're going to have the last session, that is the 5th session of Livewire on 2nd of December at 8:30 p.m. UAE time. And this time the talk is going to be machine learning and HR strategy and planning. And courses like this help you build your muscles and your ability and strength to measure your HR effectiveness, to measure your HR effectiveness, linking that to the business strategy, which is one of the very, very crucial elements for you as an HR leader when you are going for a crucial process of experience assessment like a CIPD. That's extremely tough process, which, Hazza, you said, and you have gone through it, and we are happy to enlighten people, but this journey,
without cutting you off, tell us about this journey. One of the courses that I had the pleasure of taking with you guys was the HR analytics, and that actually was very crucial for my preparation for my final assessment, because it gives you, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, gives you these bullet points, these hints, and that guidance. So I agree with everything that you say. There are certain courses that will, number one, feed your career. It's very good for feeding your career. But also preparing you for these type of tough assessments. And as you know, and I'm sure a lot of people know, you guys have some really good courses that I've been a part of as well that can really ease the way in obtaining that certification. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks for the next question. Hazza, you have gone through this process of experience assessment. You have taken the CPHR certifications, and you're going to take the CHPA and analytics certification. Tell us, does global certifications like this help in the career growth, or these are just the ornamental kind of certifications?
Let me just say something before I use the word certification. To obtain certification is to go through a process of training, right? And training is always required. And I will tell you, early on in my career, I did not believe in that point. I remember that there was a job interview that I wanted to go to. And in that interview, I was doing really, really great. Sandeep, you can tell when you're doing good in an interview. And I was doing good in that interview and the interview was the CEO of that company. Until the CEO asked me something. He said, in your CV, I don't see any training courses. So how did you learn what you know? And I said, well, I taught myself. It was my experience. And to be honest, my answer, and I was true at that point by answering that question that way, but I could see him being turned off by it, right? Because yes, experience will give you what you need, but you also need education. Nobody can deny that education is required. And all of these, because it gives you points, and it gives you knowledge and windows to things that you think you know, but you don't know at all. I remember that one time I was sitting with my father, and my father started asking me questions about something he read about HR, and I couldn't answer because he was being very, let's say, scientific. It was very technical questions, very HR technical questions I had no idea about. And at that point in my career, I was 6 years in. I'm supposed to know, but I didn't know. And that, opened that and the interview, because they came almost in the same timeline, opened my mind saying that certifications are required. So to answer your questions, at all, they are not just a piece of paper that you hang on the wall, these global certifications. They are something that will feed your knowledge, feed your brain, they will expand your career, and most of all, they look very good on a CV. So yeah, they are important.
Excellent. Hazza, now you have taken a very huge milestone of getting the chartered membership grade and CPHR, and you're going for another certification, CPA, CHPA. Now tell us, what's your future career aspirations? Now you are at the senior management level. Now I think so your next career is to jumpstart to the level of CHRO level and the chief people officer level. Tell us, what's your career aspiration? Something this or something beyond that?
Well, HR will always be the core of my career. It will always be what I inspire and aspire to remain in and to grow in. But to go a little bit in depth into your question, during my career, on the side of my job, I have done some consultancy to some friends that own companies and run organizations. And that, I found that brings me joy because I see what HR consultancy can do to a company. A company can be, because they lack what I would call HR intelligence. They lack it in their organization. You can see that their organization is making money, but they can make more money. And internally, they are all over the place, right? And when HR starts to fix itself within the organization, you can see it come together. You can see it start to streamline. You can see the harmony start to get into that workplace, and you can see more output and more outcome come. So what I aspire really is to create an HR, let's say, organization that is centered around helping companies be more successful, helping companies be more organized, helping companies understand the value of HR. So HR will always be the core, but instead of keeping it in one organization and then moving to another organization, throughout the years, I want to create an organization that could serve multiple organizations, especially Saudi companies, since I am a Saudi and I need to give back to my country, especially Saudi companies, to help them grow, to help them understand employment, to help them know how to make their employees happy by making their company happy. So this is really my aspiration, to be my own HR consultancy firm. Now, do I want to become a CEO of an organization? Absolutely. Can I do both? Why not? Let's see. So there are a lot of aspirations. And just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, vision. It's all about vision. But HR will always be the core of my aspiration.
Thanks, Hazza. We have seen the trend now that the HR, if they have a strong business acumen, strong analytics acumen, they are also given the opportunity to lead their organization as the future CEOs. So would you see that as you progress from your current role to become the chief HR, and then you see a potential to become the CEO of an organization? Because HR, if you have the strong financial understanding, business understanding, analytics understanding, and if you've got a pulse of people, then you have a perfect recipe of success.
Sandeep, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you a little bit of a secret. In order for you to go down that path and to grow and grow and grow and grow, you need to understand the business, right? Why can a finance manager, for example, become a CFO of an organization and then become a CEO? And you see a lot of CFOs move across and become CEOs because their job gives them a window to look at the business, to understand it. You don't need to be technically perfect in order to run an organization. You just need to understand the business. And who's better to understand the business than human resources professionals? When you are sitting in an organization as an HR professional, the first thing you need to do is understand the business, understand your client, understand how the business runs, how the company makes money, what are the difficulties, who are the competitors, where do you lose people to, right? Where do you lose money to? As soon as you start to understand that and you start being knowledgeable more and more and more about it, you start going up the ladder because you are people savvy and you understand the people and the people trust you because of your job if you do it correctly. You understand the business, you become a business partner. And this is a very crucial part in HR these days, to become an HR business partner. Once you know how to handle HR, which is a very complicated matter, and people seem to forget that sometimes, and understand the business, combine both together, nothing can stop you but becoming a CEO of that organization.
Brilliant. So the coffee is on. So we've got some few interesting comments coming up. Hazza, you've got a huge fan following, you know. So you've got a lot of questions coming up. Yes. And there's one gentleman called, his name is Ali Al Abbas.
Yep.
He asked a very, very interesting question. He said, please ask the distinguished guest today a situation he faced in HR that he promised not to make others face.
Very good. Thank you, Ali, for that interesting question. Well, a situation that I faced, I can think of a situation that just popped in my head, right? Where I judged a person based on their looks and beliefs and did not give them a chance at the organization. I did a mistake. And that mistake caused me to almost lose the talents of that person, right? And I was corrected. And there's a very, very strong point. When you work with people that you trust and they trust you back, they will come and tell you when they see that you've made a mistake. They will come and tell you, sir, you have made a mistake, and this is why you've made the mistake, between them and yourself, right? And they discussed that with me, and I knew that I was in a situation where I made a mistake and judged a person wrongly, and I corrected that mistake, and now that person is one of the most successful people in my organization, right? And I promised myself that I would not let anyone in my organization face that issue again, whether judging others based on points you should not judge people on, or being judged based on points you should not be judged on. So that is a situation where, especially if you work in HR, you might face every day even. You might face every day, especially if you are on a huge organization, you might face people that you've been working with in the same organization for years but never met. And then you judge them based on wrong points of view. So that is a mistake that I have done and learned from, and I have promised not to face again and help people not to be in that situation again.
You know, that's a exceptional trait of a leader. You know, as we go on executing, initiative of a project and all, we learn a lot. And so long as we are open, and when the learning comes in and we can accept it, imbibe it, and we can practice it on our next opportunity, that makes a really grounded leader. And that's how you are. And that's how the others, they revere you and they adore you, Hazza, in your organization and all across in Saudi Arabia. So that brings us to our next interesting question. You know, this question is asked many a times, and I may not be the first person to ask this question, that why business understanding, I'm saying again, why this business understanding is as important as the global HR certification?
Let's imagine that you've been given a piece of candy and it's wrapped, and you were asked to sell that piece of candy, and you go to someone and you say, I come to you, Sandeep, and I say, you should buy this piece of candy. And you tell me, okay, why? I don't know, it just looks good. You should buy it. Okay, what does it taste like? I don't know, just buy it and try. Right? You won't buy it because I didn't give you the information that you need to convince you to buy it. The same thing is when you don't understand your business. When you're an HR person in an organization and you don't understand the business of that organization, you cannot serve it well. And if you cannot serve the organization from a business aspect, you are unable to serve the people from a business aspect. You need to understand how the business is conducted. You need to understand how what problems the business is facing, and there is no business that does not face problem. You need to understand the challenges. You need to understand what helps the business grows, and you need to understand what the business requires. Once you do that, you turn from an HR professional to an HR business partner, where the leaders of the business and the heads of the departments and the managers and so on will entrust in you for advice. And this is what HR is all about, advice. They will come to you and say, Hazza, I have a problem, and my problem is 1, 2, 3. Because you understand their business, you will understand how to give them solutions. If you don't understand, you'll just step back, and whatever you say will not make sense to them. Let me give an example of an HR professional or someone that was just hired as an HR manager in an organization. And then the CEO or the general manager of that organization asks that HR professional or that new HR manager to create a policy, right? And you create a policy that does not fit at all the business module of that organization. Will it work? No, it will create chaos. Policy is supposed to control, it will do the exact opposite and create chaos. But if you take your time and understand the business and sit down with the leaders and ask questions with it, which I am sure they will be happy to answer, because you're not their competitor, you're not a threat to them, you are someone that is here, and you come and say, I am here to help you and to serve you, they will answer it. Once you understand that, you will start creating, you will start becoming innovative, and you will start helping the business. Certifications are great. It will give you the basics and the ideas and the knowledge you need to go and start filling your brain and yourself with what you need from the business, and then transforming that information to HR analytics and then giving it back to the business, basically return of investment. You invest in learning the business, and the return is that you will serve it much, much better. So become an HR business partner by understanding the business, and you will start growing.
Brilliant. Hazza, there are a lot of people out there, whom I meet, in different conferences, seminars, in talk shows. And the question is, I've seen, some, especially the young generation HR, they keep on shifting jobs quite frequently. That's one part. Second part is a lot of, question about is how do I start? How do I start building my, the knowledge about the business? Where to start? Do I start reading on, internet? Do you start reading on, going for a meeting? So what is there? What's your advice to this young leaders, and also for the people, who are at the mid leadership level, or the manager level or senior manager level, how this would strengthen, this key ingredient that is understanding of the business. And also, I request you, just give us some, your anecdotes, some story in your career that how it could, motivate others, and it could provide some insight to others, to take this lead, to become this wholesome HR who are driven by the organization business, rather than, the typical HR interventions.
Patience is key, Sandeep. We as HR professionals need to have a lot of patience. Why? because we have a lot of understanding to do and a lot of learning to do. I was fortunate enough in my career to be part of senior management of several companies at a very young age. Right, my first managerial post, I was 24 years old when I became an HR manager of a very big organization, and it was tough. It was very, very tough. And part of why it was tough was my age, because I went into meetings with guys that were 40, 45 years old. They were 20, 25 years old, older than me. And they looked at me basically as a kid. And they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to interact. But when I was patient and I was sitting back and listening and listening and listening, even to conversations and things that I didn't like, but I had the voice of my father in my brain always, that always the same advice: shut up and listen. Shut up and listen. When you listen and you don't talk a lot, you just listen, people will start seeing this guy is listening. This guy is taking notes. This guy really wants to know and to hear what I am saying. And then you take all of that information back, and then you start to study it and analyze it. And then you go back to those people that did all the talking, and you start giving them ideas and solutions from an HR point of view. You will be taken seriously. In order for you to listen and to understand, you need patience. In order for you to get knowledge about the organization that you are in, you need patience. Knowledge does not come in 1 year. When you're in a company and you've stayed in for 1 year, believe me, you will not understand that company, the level that you need to understand it. And then comes another company that offers you a little bit more money, and you start and you bounce to that company, or even gives you a better position. Let me tell you something. When I was offered that role of HR manager, I jumped to it and I wasn't ready, and I almost failed. But I was lucky enough to have someone grab me and say, "Okay, I will teach you how to do it." If I didn't, because I wasn't ready, I would have failed, because I jumped into something that I wasn't ready for. So people need to, especially the very young generation that are starting now, you need to understand your knowledge, you need to understand your limitations, and you need to have patience, and you need to listen and understand and learn before you start taking the next step. So the key for everyone that is starting their career: be patient, understand, and listen.
Brilliant. Hazza, one more thing is that, these brilliant breed of new generation of HR leaders who are hungry, who want to grow, and there is a void sometimes. And I think so this void can be bridged by the senior leaders. So there is for these young peoples who are aspiring to become the new or the future CHROs, it would be a good idea for them to latch on to somebody senior enough in their career profile, in the maturity level, in the career ahead, to, follow them like a coach or request them to be their mentor, because you need, in today's world, where there are a lot of confusion, chaos, a lot of instability, and which you rightly said, patience is very difficult to get in today's world, and to invest your time and effort to develop yourself. And it will be a good idea, to latch on to, people like you. There are senior HR leaders are there who are extremely business focused, business savvy, to connect to them and to seek their advice, to suggest, to recommend, to see that how they are building up their career. So I think so there's a space where the senior leaders can mentor or coach these young, aspiring young leaders. What do you say?
Well, let me tell you something. I was working for a company called McDermott a few years back, right? And when I came in, they told me about their vicious finance manager, and they told me that the word that he loves most was the word no. Whatever request you give to that person will say no. And I learned immediately that that person, that finance manager, was in that organization for 43 years. He worked in the same organization. Who would know more about an organization than somebody that was there for 43 years? So the first thing I did was go to him and ask him questions. The first thing I did, a gentleman was 65 years old. Here comes this 29 something into his office, newly hired HR manager. And I told him, I was honest. I need to learn from you. They told me you've been here for 43 years. And the guy just took me under his wing, just because I was honest, right? And he started telling me every day for 3.5 years, he started telling me, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do that. And I listened to him down to the dot. And to be honest, I've never gotten bad advice from that person. He wouldn't have lasted in that organization for 43 years if he wasn't knowledgeable enough. So finding a mentor, latching onto that mentor, and being honest with that mentor that I want to learn from you is a very important and great step, because you will get the support that you require. And sometimes people get that, let's say that antsy, they start feeling bigger than what they really are and say, no, I'm not going to someone and showing them that I am vulnerable and I don't understand. There is absolutely no shame in that. When you go to someone and you say, I need your help, right? When you go to someone and be honest and ask for help, they will give it to you willingly. And then you will have someone to support you when your decisions or whatever you want to do is not accepted by others. You have a party that have taught you and have mentored you that is willing to support you. So finding that mentor within the organization and approaching that mentor is a strong key for success.
That's the reason, no wonder why your shareholders, they love you, your top management, they love you, and the people, your team members, they love you and adore you. So the next question. Hazza, what's your advice for the future HR leaders? It's a repeat question, but what's your real advice to them?
3 things. Number 1, understand the business. Number 2, talk and listen to the people of the organization from bottom up. Go down from every levels of the organization. Talk, have conversations. Number 3, keep everything documented. People forget about that, right? People forget about keeping notes and communicating via email and sticking to promises and all of that. Keep everything documented so you remember what you promised, you remember what was asked from you. I am a person that is very, very forgetful. And my family are always telling me, we don't know how you go on with your life. How do you have the career that you have while you're being so forgetful, right? But I think my wife tells me this on a daily basis. But because I keep everything at work, I keep everything organized, noted down, calendarized, and documented, I am able to remember, and I am able to go back to the people that want something from me, and I am able to go back to the people that I want something from. So also documentation and documenting everything that you do, taking notes is a very strong key to grow and to understand business.
Thank you, Hazza. There is one very interesting comment that has come, and I don't know, you will agree with it or disagree with it. It says that listening comes from the culture of the organization. It's not a mere personal skill. What do you say?
Well, I don't agree or disagree, right? The culture who creates the culture of the organization? It's the people, right? So if you go into an organization and you find out that that organization does not have the culture of listening, why not break the pattern? Why not add to the culture? Why not start to listen and reap the benefits of listening and grow? And then people will see that you are starting to grow because you're listening. And the culture of listening will start being created by one person. and then the culture changes. So yes and no at the same time. Sometimes a company doesn't have that culture, and you just be part of it and move along. And sometimes you decide to introduce something to that culture and shift it and change it.
This is our last and the final question. What are the future skills that you feel that people champions should master? And the second is, tell us about your feedback about you have seen people taking certifications, skill training from Bostanica, and how was your experience on it?
Sure. Let me start by the first part of the question. What are the skills that people champions need to make sure that they have? Number one is something that we hear about a lot, and we hear people say a lot: people skills. They need to have people skills. When you are in HR, your business is the people, so you need to have people skills. What are people skills? It is basically the ability to listen and give advice. It is the ability to support. It is the ability to make people feel welcome and supported. So people skills are something that is very, very important. Number two is presentation skills, because when you are part of the HR organization, especially when you are in management roles, you will need to present a lot of ideas. And sometimes you might have a great idea. You might have an initiative that can benefit the business greatly, but because you are unable to communicate it and you are unable to present it in the right way, because you lack these presentation skills, your initiatives get shut down and you don't have the buy-in of senior management. So presentation skills are very, very important. You do not grow into a senior position in HR without having the basic skills or the technical skills of HR. That's why I will not go through them. But when you reach a certain point, immediately you need to advance yourself in people skills, and you need to advance yourself in presentation skills. These are two skills that are very much required in any people champion, especially HR leaders. Your second part of the question, when it comes to, and correct me if I'm wrong, when it comes to, you asked about obtaining certifications through Bostanica, taking these courses through Bostanica. And I have to say, and with all due honesty, Sandeep, when I started working with you guys, and especially when I started telling colleagues and friends about what you guys have to offer, number one, it's been a joy. Number two, it's been very, very helpful. Just like I mentioned, no matter how senior you get, no matter how much experience you get, you still need guidance, you still need training. Training never stops. And you always need to have the right partner for you as an individual and for your organization when it comes to development and training. And I could say with all due honesty, Bostanica has been great from the get-go. I highly recommend it for any senior managerial individuals that would like to improve themselves and that would like to develop, to get in touch and to find out what you guys have to offer. And I would also encourage, whether you are in HR or not in HR, because you guys, I remember we talked about finance for non-financial managers, we talked about other courses, PMP and so on. So I would recommend that people get in touch, people find what you guys have. What I like about you guys, and to be honest, is that you do not treat your clients as only clients. You treat them as part of the family. I remember when I was going through my CIPD certification, the calls that I got on a daily basis from you saying, did you do that? How is everything? How are you feeling? Are you ready? So really, mentorship is part of what you guys offer, and I highly recommend. So thank you for what you have offered me in the past, and thank you for what you will be offering me in the future.
Hazza, thank you so much. Tell us about some of the, the very interesting skills which are needed for the HR in the near future. Like, HR analytics, analytical skills, then machine learning, which is coming up, artificial intelligence, which is running up. And how do you see that HR should prepare themselves now? Because if they don't prepare now, they're going to miss the bus again.
Look, HR, a big part of HR is firefighting, right? A big part of an HR career is suddenly you're in an organization, a problem arises, and they come to you as the HR of that organization and say, help us to solve this, help us to put that fire out. And if you don't have anything in hand, you're not going to blow with your breath on the fire and turn it out. You need tools, right? You need tools to help you turn that fire. But also, you need tools to build new things and to be innovative. And if we go into your guys' website or even your LinkedIn page and find out these courses that you guys have been offering, especially these courses that are coming up very, very soon, these are the tools that HR professionals need in order to firefight and to build. Even if there are no fires, you're expected to become innovative. Without HR analytics, for example, how will you analyze the data of your organization to come up with innovation and innovative ideas to put in new, let's say, initiatives that will help the business? You need to understand. So these types of courses, HR analytics, machines, all of that is really, really required to give you the tools that you need to serve your organization the way that an HR professional should serve her or his organization.
Thank you, Hazza, and it was pleasure talking to you today. And this is the reason I say again and again that why you are so much of highly respected in the industry. You are highly regarded by your shareholders, your top management, and you're absolutely loved by your employees. I know a lot of incident, I know a lot of stories that how you have really saved an organization, how you have really valued people, and how you have totally transformed the organization. We wish you all the best of luck to you in your future endeavors. And we know that for you, the roadmap is very, very clear for you to become the Chief HR Officer and the Chief People Officer in due course of time, which is going to be very, very nearby, which I know that the way you are going and is going to be very, very soon. And then I wish you, and we wish you all the luck to you for your future endeavors to become the future CEOs of the organization, which a lot of HR professionals are now picking up in due course of time. Thank you so much. And I hope you all viewers must have enjoyed in today's Bostonica Live Wire that we had today our guest, Hazza AlShammari, Chartered MCIPD CPHR, and we look forward to hear from him few more incidents, few more situations, few more HR initiatives, what he is going to do in the future. Thank you, Hazza.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for everyone at Bostonica for this great opportunity. Thank you everyone that was watching, and have a great rest of your weekend.
We will see in the due course of time, you will see another live wire which is going to come up from the Spain chapter of GSHCM, and we will have a next live wire shortly on 2nd of December, which is going to be for CHPA for the machine learning part of the CHPA. So see you then in the next week.